Kate Messio, I'm here. Jeffrey Stone.
Here.
Susan Swartz. Here. Denise Wilson.
Here.
Albert Chu.
Here.
All right, we have all of us are present and accounted for.
Okay, I'd like to do the mission statement this morning. Albert, have you done the mission statement yet?
I have not. What is that?
Okay, it's right here at the top of our agenda. Somebody each meeting reads the agenda, just the first 2 sentences of the mission. Right
Sure.
Oh, we got it there?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. SUNY Erie Community College meets the needs of a diverse student body and contributes to a regional economic vitality by providing high-quality, flexible, affordable, and accessible educational programs committed to student success.
Thank you. Great. Okay, this morning Steve Boyd is supposed to be here to receive his chair. Our official acknowledgement of his tremendous service to the school. As soon as he comes, we will do that so he can move on with his day. And I'm a little off today too, because I'm going to find out whether or not my daughter just delivered a baby. Yeah. 2 minutes ago. We're going to find out if it's a boy or a girl, and the name probably why we're here. So.
Be sure to let us know when you know.
Yes, if we're distracted, we'll know why.
That is
Exactly. So, anyways, so I think we will begin with the consent agenda. And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion made. Second, on the agenda, does anybody have any questions or concerns?
I do have a question about number 9, the template agreement for the internship. So my question is, if the student is dismissed, as says in the template, will the student get credit? That was not. Doug?
Yes.
So
Sorry.
my question on the internship template for the boilerplate agreements to establish those internships with various employers. My question was, does the dismissed student get credit? It's on page 96 of our packet. We agree to dismiss an intern during the period from the internship if, in the opinion of SUNY Erie and/or the sponsor, the intern is not making satisfactory practice or is not meeting the expectations set forth by the parties. My question is, what happens to credit for that student if they're dismissed?
My sense, make sure I'm off you. My sense is that grading is in the purview of the faculty member, so I think that would be not part of the relationship between us and the affiliated body, but it would be based on the judgment of the faculty member and, you know, how far into the semester the student has successfully performed, you know. So it would be a faculty course grading issue, not an affiliation. Does that help to answer
Yes,
that?
on a case by case. I was just curious about, but whether or not
Yeah,
we
can
get
you
a policy.
imagine if someone was dismissed in week 14 and it was, suddenly in 14 there was a behavior that was new and wasn't egregious, but it was sort of a, we're done, the person may, have passed. Whereas if it was, turn it around and it's week 3 and the person did something egregious, obviously they didn't successfully, complete the agenda. But it would be not part of the affiliation, it would be part of the professor's grading responsibility.
Thank you. The other thing you talked about were reports on these affiliation agreements that would be reported by the provost to the board of trustees. I'm just wondering, and it says regular reports, would that be, at board meetings or in writing? Just what is the plan for delivering those reports to us?
Yeah, Penny and I were talking about that in terms of as we are, streamlining a variety of things that used to be, pre-approval, and with us move to, okay, we're looking for an approval of the template. I was thinking, and this is a good question for the board, would it be here is a semesterly list of either the new affiliation agreements that were going to be added to the, the total number of affiliation agreements, really is what would the board feel is comfortable with in terms of reviewing. My sense is that the board would want to be aware of any affiliations and respond to if there was a concern of the college affiliating with a questionable organization. But I was imagining like a semesterly, put it on the agenda. Here's a FYI kind of the new affiliations for this semester, that have been added or renewed.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
So you just want to see the new ones, or you want to know every semester kind of what affiliation agreements or what internships were?
I think every semester, including the new ones, right? So just a list
list of
of which ones are,
A list of
Right,
everything,
that's right,
including the
yeah.
new ones, just so you can
Sure.
see where our
That's
students
right.
are going?
I
yeah,
think
that makes sense.
What do you think about that, Doug?
Was that list of the total list, or just new or renewed?
I think the total list, so we have a comprehensive sense of what's going on.
With the new ones broken out or made bold or highlighted in some way.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And I want to commend you all for approaching it this way, because I think that evergreen approach to making sure that there's some standardization in these agreements, it makes perfect sense, and I applaud you for moving us forward in this direction.
Thank Katie as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll make sure we thank Katie for
Please.
the lady.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we also have the talent management agenda, it's item number 10. Any questions, any issues with those?
I just had one question on, I know Peter from the athletics is now working in advancement, and his new title is Advancement Athletic Director 2. Do we need to say something about advancement in his job title? I'm just curious, because I know his efforts are.
Yeah, I think that's the official college title, but I also think there is advancement in this title.
Okay.
I'll get that back to you.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I will, the motion's been made, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to committee briefings. Our new trustee, Jeff Stone, chairman of the Budget and Audit Committee, anything you'd like to?
Just that we have a meeting scheduled for August that's been set up, and so we're getting into the mode of figuring out exactly how we have to, as Penny was talking before, how to handle with the new quarterly arrangement. If there are items that have to be expedited between meetings, we're gonna have to figure out a way to be comfortable with that. But the first meeting is scheduled for August, and I'll be prepping for that.
Okay, good. So any further questions on JMC or the proposal for the parking? Parking seems pretty straightforward. If not, I will entertain a motion to approve. Do I hear a motion? The first items 1 and 2.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a question. So, why are there two separate proposals on this instead of one, the 20,000 and the 40?
So we're trying to not keep them from slowing down, so we authorized them 10,000 back in December to do the first blush and say exactly how bad it was. They found exactly how bad it was, and so the next 20 is what we can do to get them moving, to keep them moving this summer. And then in total, it's coming past you guys, and then I've still got to take it to the ledge before we can spend anything above that 30.
Right.
But in an effort to keep us on track to finish in 18 months, we broke it up into those 3 pieces so that we can keep it going.
And who conducted the most recent space inventory that we have on file, or was it just a piecemeal thing?
It is a piecemeal
Okay.
thing, and it has been years and years and years and years.
Well, this is good, because it will give us a real sense of what we have and how we can use it best. So
Well,
I
and
appreciate it.
it's critical to getting the most out of this master plan, because without us understanding what our space is, they can't recommend what our space should look like.
Well said.
Okay, any other questions? So I guess we'll take them separately then. Item number 1 on GMC, the verification audit request. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On item number 2, on the parking RFP, do we hear a motion to approve? Motion made by member Hubler, sorry. Second,
Second.
by Keith Manzello. Anything on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay, thank you. So also, for board information, we have the West-Her sponsorship agreement and the renewal of the Verizon cell tower agreement for receipt of that. Okay, we'll now move to the Policy and Governance Committee. Chair Maziel.
Thank you. Let's see. quickly on here. So first, we have the addressing the bylaws issue. As you'll recall, at the last meeting, we tried to make an effort to advance our work in light of the fact that we are not at full speed. We have a number of vacant positions, and our intent was to call a quorum in terms of the presence of the majority of the filled positions. But because we don't have an attorney on staff, and this is my plug for thinking about perhaps maybe we need to revisit that issue. And we're glad that Jeff's here with his vast expertise in this area. But we've been advised since we passed the bylaws at our last meeting that we are bound by New York State law to continue to state that the quorum is 6. And so you'll see the red line version of the bylaws to begin on page 250. What we're looking at is section 3C on page 253. We're just reverting back to the original language that says that a quorum is 6 trustees and that an affirmative vote of 6 voting members of the board shall decide any issue. Does anybody have any questions?
And just to clarify that, the general municipal law says that you have to have a majority of the total voting strength of the board, no matter how many seats are filled or unfilled, and so that's where the problem arises.
Right.
So that's why the number 6 is a majority of 10. And so I think it's important, though, that we all urge that our vacancies be filled.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason it even came to this is because we had these vacancies, we were having a hard time, in some cases getting a quorum, and other times getting a majority for a position that was before the board. So anyways, we've been, our hands have been slapped, we've taken the appropriate action to return to the previous rule, and we will move on.
So we're going to vote on that. Right.
Do we hear a motion to approve?
Okay. I'm sorry, on page 258, we also, on section 7, on committees, B5, we changed the name of the Curriculum and Student Success and Diversity Committee. So
Right.
that will reflect more of the actual responsibilities of this committee.
Yeah.
So I apologize. Thank you, Kelly. So with those 2 changes, we are
We can adopt those together.
right.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, resolution 2, policy for, resolution for policy decision.
So I want to thank Penny and Barb and everybody who's working with the policy committee in our ongoing role to review all of our existing policies. We're looking to put them in a manual, and this document that's before you is just explaining what a policy is, noting that we're creating this handbook that everybody will have access to, the policies, and this is our official action to rescind the policies that our current policies are taking the place of. So you'll see on page 262 there are a number of categories of policies that exist now that we believe are irrelevant or out of date. And there's quite a comprehensive list of the ones we've already addressed on pages 264 and 65. We still have a long way to go, but this is an official act to remove those outdated policies and replace them with those that we have passed as a board since the policy committee has started taking these actions. And it's really a definition of what a policy is in terms of the rules of the road, that the specifics on how those policies will be enacted are going to be specified in procedures that will follow a particular policy, and those are not as evergreen as a policy is because they will need to be changed over time. But our intent here is to create the framework within which our procedures will flow. Does anybody have questions on that?
Okay. Kate, you make a motion to approve?
I do.
Do I hear a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it is approved. So move on to academic freedom policy.
Thank you. This is page 267. So this academic freedom policy, I want to say, was approved by the College Senate last month, and we appreciate their due diligence in addressing this issue. So basically, this just says that it's the policy of the college to maintain and encourage academic freedom. And we believe that academic freedom is based on the free exchange of ideas. That's essential to good education, and that academic freedom in higher education is essential for our society to be free. We outline that free exchange of ideas and why it's important in this policy. Talk about students and faculty engaging in intellectual debate without fear of retribution or retaliation. It gives students the rights and the faculty the right to express their views in speech, writing, through electronic communication, both on and off campus without fear of sanction. And it means that the political, religious, or philosophical beliefs of folks can't be imposed on students or faculty. This really gives also faculty members and students a right to redress or request a hearing if they believe these rights have been violated. And this policy is intended to lay out the framework, again, within which our professors can teach and our students can learn.
Okay.
Anybody have questions about
Any questions?
that?
If not, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Okay, items 1 through 5 are basically received and filed for board information. Okay, we'll now move on to the Student Success Committee. Trustees Schwartz and Wilson.
Where are we?
Page 3.
Page 3.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions on the agreement requested?
And it's pretty straightforward.
Pardon?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Is there any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is approved. Items 1 and 2 are also filed for board information as well. Thank you. Okay, so on the report of the chair, just a couple things. We did spend quite a bit of time in the past couple of weeks coming together to pass the college budget at the legislature. Questions were raised, issues came up, which is normal, and we had a good, I think a good united front between the administration, the faculty federation, the board. I attended all the meetings with Dan and Penny, and we had a good, solid 7-3 decision. 3 Republicans voted no, citing different, what I consider to be squabbles over whatever. Bottom line is the majority strongly supported the budget, and I felt good about that. Other issues I've been spending some time, as with Susan has with Colleen Allen from ACCT, just getting ready for the evaluations of the board and college president. There was a little snag with FedEx for a few days, so we finally got everything here. Everything's in good shape. Also dealing with the foundation. By the way, the foundation golf outing is July 15th, 2 weeks from Monday, and anybody who still is interested, there's plenty of time to sign up. I will be there, even though I'm a horrible golfer. I'll be there. Hopefully nobody will be watching, but anyways, I think that is probably it in terms of my report. Okay, now we've got the auxiliary resolution to amend Article 4 of the Facilities Payment Agreement, page 338. Sue, do you have anything you want to?
Basically, this is just a way to, we're still making the payment to the college, but instead of sending it over to the college side, we're going to retain it on our side to give some flexibility in the spending of it.
Okay.
And it will be administered at the direction of the college.
Oops, sorry, guys.
We're interested.
Let me see if I can kill this, although I want to keep the text coming in. I want to know what the name is and what it is.
That's pretty much the premise of it. It's still, payments still being made based on the same criteria. It's just going to be held and administered by the college through auxiliary instead of the college.
Okay. So there is a motion, there's a resolution on page 338. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Uh,
Opposed, the item is approved. Okay, ad hoc committees, marketing, we had another, Paul's committee and I had another very good session. It's our second meeting of the newly revamped marketing committee. Paul, do you want to just do a quick summation of, basically our digital approach? Let me just say that I think our marketing department is really moving in a lot of new, avenues, areas to basically update our marketing approach. And I just think we're doing great things there. Do you want to give us a quick?
Sure. So we've talked a little bit before, but for Albert and for Jeff, who are newer to the board, a lot of what's changed over the last couple of years is really the strategy of going from traditional marketing channels of network television, broadcast television, and print material, meaning Buffalo News or Business First, and moving much more toward targeted digital strategies. So we've actually revamped everything over the last couple of years, where we've gone to more of a targeted cluster-based approach and taken all 83 of our programs and put them into one of 13 categories. So we're able to create a profile for students who would be successful in those programs. And a lot of that data is based off of things that we have here at the college, meaning data that we've seen before, students who've come in, what those backgrounds look like. But it also helps us to look at things like what are their likes and dislikes, what types of hobbies do they have, where are they likely to be going on the internet, what sites are they going to. So if I'm going to do a campaign, for instance, on advanced manufacturing, I'm not targeting somebody who might be interested in a health background. What I'm targeting is somebody who's really looking at those programs, what skills do those programs need. So now for advanced manufacturing especially, you're not working off of, necessarily the traditional wrench work that used to happen in manufacturing, but now it's more digital based. It's all electronics and computers. So they need to have some math aptitude. They need to have some basic reading and writing skills, and those aren't necessarily things that happened before. So those are things that we are actually trying to promote. As far as the advertising strategy goes. We've seen a significant amount of success with that. I looked at the numbers this week and what's in the enrollment funnel. And the first year, we were halfway into the year when we started changing the marketing strategy, because I've been here for 2 years, Jeff, I think I already did tell you that. And we were halfway into the year and switched the strategy up a little bit, where we saw about an 8% increase in inquiries over that period of time in that last 6 months of the year. Since this point in time comparison to last year, we are up 42% in inquiries across the board in our programs, which is great. That means that we're doing an amazing job of bringing the interest into the college and different program areas. So what we're looking at right now is breaking those down and working with admissions right now to break those program areas down to find out where are we really excelling in the interest areas, but those areas that maybe we're not excelling as much in the inquiry phase, we want to bump those campaigns up to the forefront so we can start bringing those inquiries in. But I'm delving into the middle and the back half of the funnel right now with the admissions and the recruitment teams, because while we're doing great on the interest end of things, we need to start converting them on the middle and the back half of the funnel. And those are areas where marketing usually doesn't get involved, because that's, marketing's job is kind of like, let's bring them to the door, and then, we have a recruitment team that takes over from there. But we've switched that model up here where we've really tried to work more cohesively with the admissions and the recruitment team to be able to convert those inquiries into applications, into acceptance, and then hopefully get into the back half of the funnel and convert them onto an enrolled status as well. So we're going to continue on that pattern. We've been running distance learning campaigns over the last couple of years fairly significantly and consistently as well. Distance learning has seen an increase in seats. They've seen an increase in sessions offered, and that in large part is due to the DL team, to Pat Ryan and the committee that he's got together. Those guys are amazing at what they do. So us pushing new people into that funnel for distance learning has helped them to convert them to enrollment as well. So we're working on the conversion portions right now, and we've got a lot of campaigns running this summer that are very targeted toward conversion. And trying to drive enrollment for the fall 2019, but also moving forward as well.
Great. Sorry to keep on digging everybody. So as soon as I find out what it is, I'll shut this up. But anyways, let me again just say, Paula has put together a great team. I just think we're really a contemporary marketing force now. I think we've come a long way, and happy to be a little bit part of that. And thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? As we move into the second half of the summer and fall. Okay, technology, curriculum, Todd, anything on your end there?
No, that's been folded into the curriculum
To the
and student
community.
success, right?
That's right. So we'll take that out. Talent management, we've already done the report.
No,
We're
I
fine,
think we're
okay.
on that one either.
Okay, we'll move on to the report of the president. Dan?
Great. Beginning with our fiscal year 20 budget, I just want to thank Chairman Lanahan, EVP Penny Howard, as well as Faculty Fed President Andy Sacco for joining me at the legislature last week to present the fiscal year 20 budget. As Chairman Lanahan reported, the legislature passed the budget, and I'd like to thank the county executive, the county budget office, as well as members of the legislature for approving the budget. The week prior to that, many of us were at SUNY for our annual conference and meeting with the chancellor. And so the chancellor wanted to reaffirm that the parts, meaning the 64 institutions that comprise SUNY, need to be better for being part of the whole, or the SUNY system. And so she talked about some of the benefits to the individual colleges and universities and some of her initiatives. She really believes that education, higher ed, is essential to a healthy democracy. She also mentioned the fact that SUNY plays a huge role in terms of social mobility for residents of New York State. That, for instance, UB has more people in lower socioeconomic status than more than 10 items combined. Part of her initiative has been in terms of climate and clean energy, and so there is a green bank now established at SUNY for individual colleges and universities to draw from in terms of environmental efforts. She has also been very progressive in terms of online programming, and so for the fall, there are 2,000 new students for Open SUNY. We also advocated on behalf of community colleges. Dan Fuller, who is Assistant Secretary of Education for New York, was in attendance. He admitted that CUNY students currently benefit more from Excelsior than we do, and so we put forward a proposal that maybe some of the guidelines and restrictions be changed to allow more of our students to be able to benefit from Excelsior. Eileen McLaughlin, who's the CFO for SUNY, also discussed some of the data analytics they're doing for SUNY institutions close to our state border. So the idea is having a dynamic pricing formula so that we can attract students from other states, but also retain New York State students from going to other states. From our provost, our SUNY provost, we heard that our Starfish early alerts have increased retention between 8 and 10% across the system, and that we are implementing a new CRM, or customer relations management tool, to manage admissions and standardize application processes across the system. The argument that is currently made is there's no reason why a New York State student can't come to one of our 64 institutions. Any questions or comments about?
Just why is it that the CUNY students have, why Excelsior works better for them than the SUNY students? I'm not clear.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that you have to have a full-time course load. And so many of our students are working full-time and don't fulfill those requirements. But I think, and an argument can be made that if our students can't benefit from it, then we need to change that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
thoughts? Okay. If not, we'll move to the.
Oh, I have more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. A lot of things today.
That was just for, I got a lot to go.
Keep going.
In terms of our current fiscal year budget update, summer enrollment year to date, in terms of head count and FTE, is pacing slightly above 98% of last year's summer number. And summer session 2 is slated to start on July 9th. So currently, we remain on target for operational revenue to meet operational expenses. So we are still balanced. And this was possible due to very diligent budget monitoring and monthly reforecasting, which I want to credit Penny Howard for in implementing so well for the college. For the spring semester, headcount was down a total of 418 heads, or minus 3.86%, and FTE was down just over 5%. As previously mentioned, retention is an area of growth for us, and something our academic and student support teams are improving to ensure that we can reliably move our students from application to enrollment to graduation. So again, retention is the new enrollment. We're actually doing better than some of the other SUNY institutions. I was able to hear from other presidents. So across the state, the trend has been minus 5% or more in terms of enrollment and interest. For fall 19, enrollment management has started working to revamp our start orientation for new students. And there are 17 start sessions scheduled over the next 2 months to enroll new and transfer students. So as Paula mentioned, inquiries are up significantly over this point last year, 42%. So our recruitment team's focus this summer is on converting as many of those inquiries as possible to enrollment through both open advisement and open registration sessions throughout the summer. So we've also implemented some new communication strategies, including the deployment of our new texting platform called Signalvine, as well as targeted social media and digital campaigns, as Paula just mentioned, in conjunction with more traditional phone, direct mail, and email communications. Many of our students will respond more quickly to a text than a phone call or an email. And our recruitment team also attended Juneteenth and Say Yes in the past few weeks to stimulate inquiries. With regards to fall 19 retention, counselors are working through our Starfish alert system to clear any registration holds due to academic issues, and this will allow students to register for the fall. And similarly, our finance office is removing any registration holds for anyone with an account balance less than $1,500. And again, this will remove the financial barrier for students impacted so that they can register for the fall as well. And we're sending targeted messages to students who have not yet re-registered, notifying them that there are advancement and registration opportunities this summer for their specific programs. From academic affairs, the Learning Garden down by Canal Side is up and running once again. Our Culinary Arts Department Chair, Kristen Goss, along with instructor Dorothy Johnson, has led efforts for students and faculty engagement at this site. The SUNY Erie One Stop Career Center had over 1,400 job placements with an average wage just under $35,000 between March 2018 and April 2019. And the North Campus Food Pantry, run by the One Stop and funded by Feed More in Western New York, opened on May 22nd. And our South Campus Food Pantry is expected to open later this summer in time for fall semester. The City Campus Pantry opened in March and provided food to over 480 individuals for a total of 4,320 meals from March through May. And as all of you know, food insecurity is one of the major obstacles facing our students. And so we're very happy to be able to provide these pantries on all 3 of our campuses. In fact, our student trustee has visited them himself and has recommended that we increase the variety and choice at North Campus to match what we have at City.
That's correct.
Appreciate him for doing so. For the spring 19 semester, distance learning filled 5,806 online seats and 283 sections, which is an increase of 8% in seats filled and 13% in sections running over spring 18. Again, this is one of our strategic pivots from the traditional high school graduate to working adults, and providing this distance learning opportunity will hopefully increase enrollment, but also provide a service to people who can't come to class. The Northland Workforce Training Center will hold a recognition ceremony on August 16th for our first cohort of Northland graduates. And so your invitation will be forthcoming to that event fairly shortly. From enrollment management, the enrollment management team is continuing with Erie Bounce to further evaluate the student experience on our campuses. The team is also testing for the launch of Workday Student and expects to launch the first phase of the student module of Workday this fall. So many thanks to Mina Lakavani in overseeing this very successful project. From facilities, the New York State Minorities in Criminal Justice held a regional symposium at South Campus earlier this month, and they were so pleased with the service they received that they're planning to fund a student scholarship in the upcoming year. So working with Chris Jengo of the foundation, the group selected 1 recipient from the Men of Merit program for a $1,000 scholarship, and 3 additional students from the Mums and Say Yes programs for $250 scholarships. So congrats to our facilities and ITS teams for their efforts in this event. This City Campus was part of the community-wide Doors Open Buffalo event on June 15th, and more than 650 people toured this very building to learn about the history of the old post office as well as the college and our programs, which is the idea. So 5 customer service survey kiosks are being installed between our 3 campuses this week, and will be up and running in time for all of July and August orientation, advisement, and registration sessions. So a special thanks to Joe Landine and Rich Rojek and their ITS and facilities teams for assisting us in launching these kiosks. Again, this is being responsive to student needs, and so we'll be able to hear how service has been during this critical period for us. From student services, I think many of you know that Dr. Nora Clark will be leaving us this week to assume a position in Maryland. She has provided excellent leadership in student affairs, and we wish her all the best. SUNY Erie is the first college in the region to become an organizational member of the Erie County Anti-Stigma Coalition. And so through this coalition, SUNY Erie joins forces with leading area providers and agencies and high schools to end the negative connotation associated with mental health illness. And we will be partnering with Horizon Mental Health, and I think this will be part of a comprehensive effort to support our students, faculty, and staff. And we're continuing to work with Buffalo Public Schools to expand the early middle college program. Buffalo Public Schools is currently awaiting approval from the state of New York to move the program to 101 Oak Street and make it part of our city campus. From Human Resources, Equity, and Diversity, Evergreen Solutions, a public sector management consulting firm, will be conducting orientation and focus group sessions as part of the classification and compensation study from July 9th through the 11th on our campuses. So orientation sessions are open to the entire college with focus groups targeted especially for FFECC, AAECC, and our SES employees. The SUNY Area Diversity Academy planning team presented our SUNY Area Diversity Academy model at the Networking in Higher Education Conference last Friday. And the team also discussed the collaborative efforts of the Diversity Academy on internet radio station WDAP prior to their presentation. So racial equity impact analysis training will be the focus of our fall 2019 convocation. This will provide us an opportunity to strengthen our ability to advance equity in our work and effectively communicate with one another. And our Chief Diversity Officer, Tracy Archie, is leading a team to complete our proposal for SUNY's Prodigy project in time for the July 15th deadline. The Equity and Diversity Committee has also begun initial discussions on establishing equity and diversity scholarships for future students. The goal is to fund one scholarship for an incoming freshman, one for a continuing student, and one for a student transferring to a baccalaureate program each year. From our foundation, the Rita Antonella Memorial Scholarship Trust has just been established to provide support for incoming or current SUNY Area students. Awards will be $2,000 per student. 10 $2,000 awards will be granted to students at each campus for a total of $60,000 in total awards annually for the next 3 years. So Rita and her husband, who were both educators, decided to provide scholarships for local students in an effort to alleviate the high cost of attending college, and we're very grateful to them. And as Len mentioned, our 27th annual Foundation Golf Classic takes place on Monday, July the 15th. And again, this event will raise funds to support the scholarships at SUNY here. And the college is hosting the second annual Thurman Thomas Youth Football Camp from July 22nd through the 24th to benefit our Cats football program and the Thurman Thomas Family Foundation. So last year, more than 200 youth football players and their coaches from Western New York participated in the free camp that teaches coaching techniques and skills to kids. And I believe that our student trustee, Albert, too, might be interested in having one of his sons join the camp. We are very pleased to announce Ms. Sarah Lasky will join the college as coordinator of alumni affairs on July 1st. And Sarah comes to us from the UB School of Dental Medicine and has excellent experience in event management, social media, and database management. So we're very excited to have her join the college. And as was noted in the consent agenda, the college secured a $154,000 gift from alumnus Scott Beeler and the Webster Auto Group to support the purchase of equipment needed to implement SUNY Area's AOS co-op program. And so this program is expected to increase enrollment as well as persistence and retention. So we're very grateful to Webster for partnering with us to create an educational opportunity that meets industry needs. That's all from the president.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Before we move on, it's a boy. Chase Leonard. So everybody's healthy, 8 pounds plus. I didn't get the exact, but Emily just called. Congratulations. That's great. So anyways, let's move on to the next report. Our first report from our new student trustee, Albert Tu.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This being my first meeting, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here, and hopefully we do some good over the next year. That being said, rest assured that every decision I make will be centered around what's best for my fellow students. Moving on, I had my first tri-campus meeting a few days ago, and a few concerns were raised. First being food insecurity. President Coy, you stole some of my thunder. But that's okay. It just means you have ear to the ground, the pulse of what's important to students at the university. A few things discussed were diversity of the food that's provided in the pantry, awareness of the pantry. I was spoke with marketing before about getting the word out and to see, because if you poll students, some don't know it's there, and others are, maybe a little too bashful to go in. Some of the practices to even get the food may seem a little intrusive, asking for, ID numbers, things of that nature. So anyway, things that can be changed in the future. Expansion of the food pantry of all three campuses. And last but not least, dining facility hours and possibly a daily allowance for students to eat at the dining facilities. Something that'll cover a meal or two. Doesn't roll over, but something you use on a daily basis to make sure people have food. The second issue raised was transportation, mainly hours of transportation to and from campuses and to the dorms at Canisius for the student athletes. Apparently, for both non-facility hours and for transportation, you get out of practice at 6 o'clock after study hall, you see for an hour. There's no transportation from South Campus, for example, to Canisius and the dorms. So for the football players, they have to, beg, borrow, and steal for a ride, pile 8 people into one car, which isn't safe, and risk further injury or something worse. I think we should maybe do something for them. Third issue, availability of classes. I know that we live in a different age where we're kind of in a box on what we can provide. But if I'm a student and I've taken Biology 2, for example, it's only available at 1 o'clock, Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the only class I have available to take it. I mean, either if I'm a working adult, either have to take off work or find another institution to take that class at. So having classes after 4 o'clock, I think would be beneficial for all students. I know that logistically that may be harder than it sounds, but that's just a concern that was raised. SGA funds apparently there was a decrease from last year availability. There was concern about that. And our SGA retreat is going to be 17, 18 July. All right. Do I have any probing questions about what I've just said?
Albert, I think that's a very good, thorough report. Thank you. And my question involves, I guess, for all of us, process, and maybe for some of the administration folks here. When a good idea or an idea of any kind is put forward here, an example might be your transportation after practice idea. What happens? We nod in some approval of it, but is there an action step, a committee take it up? Where does it go after this moment so that we don't lose sight of that?
Well, it's definitely something I'm going to harp on more and more. I've spoken to the president about this, and we've bounced around a couple of ideas on what we can do to expand transportation options. I know it goes into things that I'm not sure about, costs. There may be some union issues, but
as we take notes here, I'm thinking about the process, Penny.
So Nora, who is who's departed now, is typically their liaison, and so she ensures that the information, the things they have questions on, kind of get disseminated to the rest of us. The process will change a little bit, but I do want to let you know that the concerns you have about transportation are already in the works with our transportation office, and as we look at where we're going to be housing students, how we ensure that they can get from campus to the housing and that they have access to food, because those are concerns that came up in the first year as we went through this process. So, but typically the VP of Student Services would bring it to us. We would then begin to figure out how to address those issues and try to make sure that we gave her information to report back. It's still a learning process for us. We're still figuring out where things need to reside. So in the meantime, if you have things that come up, like questions about the SGA funding is based on the number of students that we have because it's a per student fee. We can talk through those things. We have gone and done presentations to the SGA committee before to talk through and answer questions. I went there in the spring and we had, I think, a very robust conversation. So process-wise, if you would like to interact with us more, that is something that we are very open to. So I think, having a conversation with Doug and I about the appropriate pieces of that, we can make sure that we have those conversations with you all, and you either understand why things are done a certain way, or we can continue to work on expanding the food pantry, making sure transportation's okay, those things that are critical and important to you that we may not otherwise know about.
No, sorry.
Sorry. Also, Jeff, what we've done for student success, concerns such as those, we have hashed them out and talked about them at the Student Success Curriculum Diversity Committee. And that way it does not die, and we make sure that it's always at a board level. The issues that need to be at the board level are there.
I mean, not every idea will be a good idea, and some may be ultimately rejected, but I think it'd be good for the board to always focus on something happening after a mention so that we don't lose track of a good idea or just have it fall away for inaction.
Absolutely.
We certainly can say yes or no on various ideas at any level of the college, here or at the administration, but I think with a good process there, we'll get more ideas through the pipeline, and if they're good ideas, they'll be implemented.
Well, and that helps us create that transparency as well, so everyone knows what's going on in the institution.
So those items should be on the next Student Success Committee meeting.
And with regard to the availability of classes, I'm hoping that the provost is listening and figuring out how we can fill in distance learning opportunities there for those classes that may be offered only at a particular time, so that they're available to folks who have time constraints on their own schedule.
And those are also parts of the academic facilities master plan, is we are very aware that there are those gaps there, that we aren't serving our adult learners very well, that after 3 o'clock, we just don't have much.
We
So
did talk
that's-
about it at the Student Success Committee.
Yes.
Right, and then Doug's working on it.
Thank you.
I know this is maybe just a little out of order, but I did have one question as Dan, you were reporting, and thanks for the detail of that. On distance learning, I've heard quite a bit about that, even in a couple of meetings that I've been at. And that's interesting to me and to, I think, the group. But could you just touch a little bit, or maybe Doug, whoever, on exactly how that works? In other words, is it possible to be at SUNY Erie and be completely distance learning? Or is there some ratio that's enforced, that some physical presence is needed? How does that work?
So we have 8 degree programs and certificate programs that are 100% online. So the idea is that someone might be able to squeeze a half hour out at lunch or after they tuck in their kids to advance their credentials. And we're hoping to expand, and I mentioned some numbers in terms of greater number of sections and courses being online. And so this is the direction we're moving aggressively in. Again, it helps our enrollment, but it also helps the population of Western New York.
Okay, thank you. Great first report, Albert. You did a great.
Hopefully they get better.
Thank you. Colleen Queen sent us a communication. She had a problem with childcare this morning, so she could not be here. She's got 4 sons, and Summer's here. Okay, Sue, do you have another item? Okay. There's a different page on this one. Okay, you're all set. Okay, any old business?
We have the foundation. Yeah.
The foundation.
That's what I asked.
Foundation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think that
You're right.
this is just on the board agenda for receipt.
Right.
This is actually an exciting new program that Katie Marshall in Career Services enacted. If you saw the paper either yesterday or today, unemployment continues to drop and be at an all-time low, which is great for our community. But what it's caused is businesses are having a really difficult time finding employees. So this is a concept that we picked up actually from some of the chambers of commerce, where you create special relationships with people, do special events around whatever business. And Sagen Technologies is a company located in Amherst. They are a back office operation. They don't like to be called a call center. But if you didn't know this, they handle lease arrangements for Maseratis, Bugattis, and all these really fabulous vehicles. Dan and I and Katie and some others did a tour of the facility. But what they're doing is they're creating some scholarship to encourage people to look at their industry. So it's a $1,500 scholarship, and then there's some program money in there as well, so that Career Services can partner with them and run some special things like resume writing, interview things, those types of activities. And they're the first ones to sign on the dotted line, and she's got some others that she's going after. So it's another way to raise some revenue, drive some scholarship to the college. So this is just for your information.
Receive them.
Can I just ask
Thanks,
another
Jeff.
question about the foundation? I know I was on an email from the foundation president asking for some information. Has that been delivered to the foundation?
Yeah, you were recopied on that actually.
But there were some missing. So
Some of
everything
the-
they asked for, we
We're pending a conversation with yourself and the chair. There's some things in there that need to be discussed before
I see.
they were delivered.
Also, we agreed to put that up till after the focus right now is on the golf tournament. And so as soon as we get done with the golf tournament, we'll be
Thank you.
focusing on that.
And then after the golf tournament, we're planning on any other fundraising activities? Or do we have-
Thurman Times Camp is immediately after that. Over the summer, once the new alumni person starts, we actually are working on a kind of cool opportunity with the occupational therapy assistant program. I think we reported on that in the past, maybe Doug did. We had 2 students that actually graduated from the program last year who had done some work while they were at the college, and they were invited to a national poster board presentation. We were the only community college that had students at that event. The foundation underwrote the cost of the trip, the hotel, and all that stuff because it's a really, it's a great point of pride for the college. And it got us thinking, like, in return, we asked them for their stories, how did they get there? We're going to do a campaign over the summer for OTA specific. So what we found is it's difficult in a 2-year college environment to get people excited about the college if they're coming out of general studies, but where we have opportunities are when they're coming out of a professional program or something that unites them. So it could be auto tech, it could be OTA in this case. So we'll have our new alumni person focus their efforts on program fundraising and scholarship.
And when we're fully staffed up for advancement, how many new staff and reconfigured staff are we going to have moving, working?
We're still working through some of those things. I know what I would like, but we have to be realistic about our budget situation. Patty, you're welcome. She's probably holding her breath over there, but right now in the talent management agenda, we have an associate vice president that will post literally today. You saw that we hired Sarah Lasky, so the plan is to have about 5 people. Ultimately, we're not there yet, but that's our hope.
I just appreciate the college putting the resources behind us because it is a priority of ours and will help, immensely in increasing revenue and, more ambassadors for us to tell the story that's all about SUNY Young. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Again, any old business that anybody wants to not to move on to any new business? If not, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. We have to comply with the President's contract to complete the evaluation by June 30th. And so, Kate, I saw you made a motion. Do I hear a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are, why don't we take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then we will go into executive session.
Great.
Then we'll come back to adjourn the meeting after that. motion made and adjourned, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, and so in executive session,
See,
we
that
met to
picture
discuss the
there
president's
is better
evaluation.
than-
Hold on.
Right.
This is for the
I
record.
think it's more vibrant, you see?
Todd, this is for the record. So, we met in executive session to discuss the president's evaluation, and our chairman will be discussing the evaluation with the president.
Right.
And a
Right.
formal meeting will be held by the board and the president later in July.
Correct. Very good.
So I'll move it.
Okay, motion made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Happy
Thank you.
Florida.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, before.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's funny, but you have to do it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, fine.
Kelly, we have to.
Kelly, I gave you that.
Where are you going overseas?
Our
I'm going to Ireland and Sicily.
Yes.
Ireland is.
That's coming.
Yeah, because we're going, my whole family, my mother, all my siblings, like